After a couple of successful seasons in the Porsche Carrera Cup in 2013 and 14, Renee Gracie stepped up to the supercars in 2015 with Paul Morris Racing and was one half of an all-ladies driving team in the Bathurst 1000 that year. They didn't go super well, but they did finish. Her career petered out somewhat after that, finishing up in 2017. In 2019, she established herself as an OnlyFans creator, generating thousands of dollars a month for her adult-themed entertainment. In 2023, Renee returned to racing in the GT World Challenge Australia and attempted to get a wildcard entry into the Supercars Bathurst 1000 that year. She was not granted a license by Supercars. Friends, that's the most interesting parts of that doco in less than 2 minutes, and the thing is fucking 90 minutes long. Blech. Do not waste your time on this red hot mess. Here's some of the challenges, right? I understand there will be a million reasons for it, but let's just go in early. They couldn't get any of the Supercars footage licensed, so you don't see any of her racing at Bathurst or any of her in the Supercars. It's just diabolical. They couldn't show any of Renee's porn content, so there's no titillation. We see a photo shoot, but like, don't misunderstand me. If you're telling the story of someone that creates porn for a living, I would have thought, particularly on a streamer, you might, show her boobs, right? Everything is very demure and I guess let's call it appropriate, but it just seems really inconsistent with a woman that does a lot of consenting adult acts for a living and has people pay to watch her do that, right? So no racing. Some of her new stuff, yes, but none of her old stuff. None of her OnlyFans content. What is this doco supposed to achieve? It actually does nothing. It tells you her story, but fucking write a paragraph. Do what I did. 4 paragraphs, 2 minutes, done, right? That's it. It does cast Supercars as the villain in the story, and that lasts for about 30 seconds when they do that, because it suggests that that Supercars trades on suggestive sex. If you've ever been to a Supercars event, racing event, lots of girls in very tight clothing, very short shorts, not very much. So it's not overtly sexual content, but it is suggestive sexual content. Air quotes, suitable for families. But the Supercars freak out about the fact that Renee is an overtly sexual content creator. She does intimate things for a living, which I find challenging because to my mind, and I am making a generalization, a fairly high percentage of the Supercars fans, I would have thought, would have been happy with someone like Renee, sponsored by OnlyFans in her GT World Challenge Australia car, to be involved. Why? Oh, we can't have someone that does porn racing in the Supercars. Guys, honestly, it's the hypocrisy at play by Supercars is horrendous. However, but they don't even lean into that. That could have turned that into the whole thing. But they didn't. It just ended up being a very dull list of things that Renee did or tried to do. The end. Like, that's literally it. Look, a fair question from Clint here. He's just thrown this into the chat. Is it worth watching if you are a Supercars fan, or is it a red flag race is declared situation? Clint, as I've just said, if you wanted to see actually any Supercars footage, this is the wrong doco. They couldn't get any licensed footage to show you. They could show some of the press footage around it, but none of her actually doing any racing. They could show some of her racing in her most recent attempt to get into it, but it's like so little of the racing that it's actually not a thing. It's not a thing. Obviously, it stars Renee Gracie. She is the central character in this. It's directed by 2 women, Frances Elliott and Samantha Marlowe, that have some runs on the board, at least in short doco stuff. This is their first feature, as best I could tell. Look, there's so much about this that hurts. It needed, for mine, at least 2 more very long producer meetings and a whole bunch of reshoots for this to even pass muster. It feels inadequate. Like they didn't actually know what story they wanted to tell by the time they got to telling you the story about 75 minutes in. The other thing is, and this is persnickety, so bear with me, the Fireproof, it's called Revealed, part of Stan's documentary Revealed series. Renee Gracie, Fireproof. The Fireproof tag makes no sense. She was never in an accident that had her or her car on fire. And if they're using it to suggest it's a metaphorical fire, that's a pretty long bow. If it's that she's too hot to handle, that doesn't mean she's on fire. She could just be hot. Fireproof? I mean, you could have called it Renee Gracie Tits Out for the Boys and been a whole lot closer to what this thing actually is about. Ugh, there's barely a double entendre to lean on. If you wanted to watch, Revealed, Renee Gracie, Fireproof, is 90 minutes long, 90 very long minutes long, and it is available now on Stan. I can't. I mean, you be the judge. There's no moral judgment in this, just by the way. If she wants to make it content, that is absolutely her right and her privilege and her opportunity. And if people want to pay her for it, amazing. Oh, Jesus.